Guys, it's your girl Samantha here, and I wanted to talk about the Waukesha, I cannot say that word, the Christmas parade yesterday. There was an red SUV that plowed through the crowd in the middle of the parade, and after some internet sleuthing into the early morning hours, I found out that the potential suspect or potential person of interest is named Darrell Brooks Jr. or Darrell E. Brooks is another alias that he goes by. So I'm on heavy.com, and they've already pulled some information as to 5 facts you need to know about Darrell Brooks Jr. This was published November 22nd, 2021. So the man who was taken into custody in connection with the Waukesha Christmas parade tragedy told police that his name was Darrell Brooks Jr. when he was detained, and they found a Ford key on him, according to scanner audio obtained by Heavy. Police squads were at a Milwaukee address used by Darrell Brooks Jr. after his name was mentioned on the scanner in connection with the Waukesha parade incident, in which at least 40 people, including many children, were injured when a red Ford Escape plowed through the crowd. He complained of shoulder pain when taken into custody. Heavy confirmed that 2 Milwaukee police squads were outside the home listed to Brooks on North 19th Street in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Heavy also obtained audio from the scanner indicating Waukesha police obtained an ID in the name Darrell Brooks Jr. inside the red Ford Escape they recovered in connection with the Waukesha parade investigation. He also goes by the name Darrell E. Brooks Jr. and Darrell Edward Brooks Jr. He is 39 years old. He had prolific social media accounts, but some have already been deleted. The city of Waukesha now says that 5 people are deceased and over 40 are injured. However, these numbers may change as we collect additional information. Many people have self-transported to area hospitals. The police department has a person of interest in custody, they wrote, without naming that person. Here's what you need to know. 1. A red SUV is seen in a rap music video by Brooks, and he posted about the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict on Facebook. That video looks like it has since been taken down off of YouTube. Darrell Brooks Jr. raps under the name Math Boy Fly. A red SUV can be seen in one music video, and so this is a still shot that they have of Darrell E. Brooks in front of his red SUV. On another Math Boy Fly Facebook page belonging to Darrell Brooks and the name J. Brooks, he wrote about the Kyle Rittenhouse verdict. That trial occurred about an hour away from Milwaukee and Waukesha. To be clear, Waukesha police have not given a motive for the Waukesha parade tragedy. When a friend wrote on the post, "Don't surprise me, what a joke," Brooks responded, for real, but you right, I wasn't surprised one bit. The page is filled with religious sayings. To be clear, Brooks' exact alleged connection to the parade incident is not known. Authorities have not released the names of any suspects, or the person of interest for that matter. The police chief said in a late-night news conference that police have a person of interest. He did not name that person. Brooks is not listed in the Waukesha County Jail database. The motive is not clear. David Bagnaud of CBS News tweeted that, according to a law enforcement official, the parade suspect was, quote-unquote, fleeing another scene, possibly a knife fight, before injuring 40 people in the parade. Several LE sources say preliminary Wisconsin incident appears to be vehicle fleeing a separate crime scene, a stabbing, when it plowed into parade. One person in custody, investigation ongoing, but so far no initial link to terror or the recent Rittenhouse verdict, with @Tom Winter. NBC reporter Jonathan Dienst wrote on Twitter. Heavy discovered that a red vehicle similar to the Escape actually shows up on Google Maps for the address listed to Brooks in Wisconsin online court records. The home along 19th Street where the squads were sitting on November 21st, 2021, in the hours after the parade tragedy. In addition, a red Ford Escape lists to an older woman who lives at the home. Brooks gave that address as his home address in a Wisconsin felony case filed only days before the Waukesha parade carnage. Number 2, Brooks has open felony cases in Wisconsin's court system. So Brooks has an extremely long criminal history, including open cases. Darrell Brooks Jr. of 19th Street has...
And then as soon as we fall out, all of a sudden now I'm a pedophile. Let me explain that. 10 years ago, 2006, I caught a case with my oldest daughter's mama. Yes, my baby mama. She's from Oakland. I was busting moves in Nevada. I meet the bitch. She says she want to get down, so I'm pimping on the bitch. I take her to Nevada. You know what I'm saying? I get cracked. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know the bitch was 16 at the time. She gave a statement to the police and told them, yeah, she was hoeing, that I was pimping, and that she was 16, and that I didn't know that. Okay?
Open charges filed November 5th, 2021 in Milwaukee courts for resisting an officer, which is a misdemeanor, felony bail jumping, second-degree recklessly endangering safety, felony with domestic abuse assessments, disorderly conduct, and battery, both misdemeanors, along with domestic abuse assessments. He posted $1,000 cash bail on November 19, 2021. That's despite the fact he has another open felony case in Milwaukee County from 2020. That case is for second-degree recklessly endangering safety, felony with use of a dangerous weapon, 2 counts, and possessing firearm convicted of a felony charge. The case was filed in July 2020, but it remains pending. Milwaukee County Courts is dealing with a major backlog in cases. In the above case, hearings were repeatedly adjourned. He requested a speedy trial, but the court told the time limits for that. This has occurred recently because of a 2-year backlog, the chief judge has said, which she has attributed to COVID. The backlog also persists with jury trials, she said. In February 2021, with Judge David Feist presiding, the court lowered his bail to $500, noting, due to reasons stated on the record, the court is unable to honor the speedy trial demand on this case. Defense bail motion argued and granted by the court. The court lowered cash bail to $500. In June 2021, the court notes say, matter scheduled for jury trial. Parties are ready to proceed. Due to court congestion, court is unable to hear jury trial at this time. The case continued with some plea negotiations. Quote-unquote, Justice Point pretrial services supervision violation report dated November 10, 2021, received and filed, says a recent entry. There was a quote-unquote further proceedings on November 11, the last date. He had these prior convictions: bail jumping misdemeanor and marijuana possession misdemeanor. Marijuana possession second plus offense, felony, 2011. Obstruct an officer, misdemeanor, 2005 and 2003. Marijuana possession, felony, 2002. Substantial battery, felony, 1999. He has a lengthy arrest history. Read it here. Number 3, Brooks calls himself a rapper and quote-unquote stoner. He posted anti-police rhetoric on social media. On one of his Twitter pages, Brooks wrote, Milwaukee, Wisconsin born and raised, rapper, songwriter, producer, stoner, philosopher, next big thing out the Midwest. If you ain't know, get in tune. He wrote about the Derek Chauvin case on one of his pages. And what he wrote is squeezing a heart emoji, angry face emoji. It says, always remember this bitch as MF her face and what he did. He posted that on June 3rd, 2020, I believe, or around that time period. In 2019, he wrote, in case y'all don't know how effed up my anxiety is, I got ties to Detroit, my dad, whole family from the D, and I was born and grew up in Milwaukee, who ain't from the trenches. Brooks also has a Twitter page that contains tributes to people like Kobe Bryant and Juice WRLD. He sometimes got political. So here you have Monica Lewinsky saying, I'm willing to take one for the team and give Trump a blowjob in the Oval Office. Apparently that's the only thing that can convince Republicans to impeach. And he posted October 14, 2019, hashtag Monica for Prez. He also posted a photoshopped fake image of former Republican Governor Scott Walker as a Nazi. Brooks also posted anti-police rhetoric, such as this post on Twitter, but you don't hear me though. Hashtag glimpses. And then he has a photo of the police looking like, and it says beware violent street gangs, and goes into detail with that. On April 18, 2017, under Math Boy Fly, he put, should have never made it to Pennsylvania. Police can catch people riding around selling drugs, but not someone riding around shooting innocent people. One post referred to Black Lives Matter and showed BLM carved into fruit. On SoundCloud, he wrote, born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, in the dangerous West Side neighborhood of Washington Park, Fly turned to the streets at a very young age. After multiple legal battles, Fly started turning the life he lived in the streets into music with his first mixtape released in the summer of 2014. Now considered the best underground artist in the city, keep looking out for more big moves by the best Milwaukee artists of this era. Then you have hashtag count up for Mathboy Fly on, I want to say this is Twitter. Yes, Twitter as well, where it looks like stacks of money, even though the money looks a little bit fake, but whatever. He posted black nationalist rhetoric, quoting Malcolm X, hashtag game 100 and the OK sign emoji. It says, help Africa in its struggle to free itself from Western domination. No matter where the black man is, he will never be respected until Africa is a world power. Malcolm X, which is actually true. So this post was circulating on Twitter, but unlike the others, we were unable to verify it on Brooks's actual social media accounts before they were deleted. On Facebook, he calls himself underground hip-hop, rap, drill, recording artist, producer, writer, actor from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Number 4, police say 40 people, including 12 children, were taken to hospitals. A local resident sent us the picture above of the suspect who plowed through the parade, but asked us not to use her name out of fear for her safety. She said she was standing next to the person who took the photo. It's the driver, she said. He was feet away from me. I'm in shock. She also sent Heavy this picture. Local residents told Heavy that their loved ones were barricaded in stores after a vehicle drove through the crowd. Many people believe the suspect was shooting from it as gunfire echoed through the parade route. But the police chief, Dan Thompson, now says he doesn't believe shots were fired from the SUV. An officer did discharge his weapons at the suspect vehicle to try to stop the suspect vehicle, he said. No people were injured by the gunfire. Authorities said 11 adults and 12 pediatric patients were transported to 6 area hospitals. Their conditions are not clear. They said some people died, but they did not have a number of deaths. Then they upped the total to 40 injured with 5 deceased. Horrific videos captured the carnage. A horrific video showed the red truck running people over. The Waukesha South High School marching band was among those hit, according to a man who was there. Local residents reported many people lying on the ground, injured or dead. A law enforcement source said one of the 2 suspects are in custody. Another is being sought. The police chief would say only that people have apprehended a person of interest, listening to scanner audio later in this article. Sean Riley, the mayor, said tonight was a traumatic situation for the city of Waukesha. We don't have all the details, the mayor said. In his second press conference, today we experienced a horrible, senseless tragedy. I walked in the parade at the beginning. I saw all of the happy children sitting on the curb. I can still see the smiling faces. A parade is a celebration for our community. The chief said that at 4:39 p.m. on November 21st, 2021, a red SUV drove into our Christmas parade. More than 20 individuals were injured. He said the SUV drove through barricades down Main Street. It struck more than 20 individuals. Some were children, and there were some fatalities as a result of this incident. The names of victims and the number of those dead were not released. He said it's not clear whether the incident has any nexus to terrorism. Thompson said the Waukesha Police Department has recovered a suspect vehicle. It's an ongoing investigation. The victims were transported from the scene via ambulance. Officers transported some of the injured people and took them to the hospital. It's a very tragic incident. Very chaotic. There are no other threats involved. Waukesha is a suburban city in a conservative, affluent county next to Milwaukee County, Wisconsin. Several LA sources say preliminary Wisconsin incident appears to be vehicle fleeing a separate crime scene stabbing when it plowed into parade. 1 person in custody. Investigation ongoing, but so far, no initial link to terror or the recent Rittenhouse verdict, with @Tom Winter. NBC reporter Jonathan Dice wrote on Twitter. The abandoned SUV was later located by police officers in a driveway, according to scanner audio. An officer said on the police radio that a bullet struck the windshield, but there was no evidence anyone inside the vehicle was hit. According to the scanner, police found the suspect's ID in the vehicle and a Ford key on him. Another witness told Heavy she saw a red SUV driving down the road. It hit a male who went flying into the air in front of her. It continued on. She heard screaming. A woman wrote, a relative lives in Waukesha. A black guy with dreads knocked on her door shortly after the incident at the parade. She wouldn't let him in, and he proceeded to go across the street trying to break into a building. My daughter called 911 with the description, and they said they think he was driving the SUV that drove into all the people. Police have not confirmed the suspect's description, but they did describe the suspect as possibly being a black male on the scanner. A more specific description was not given. There were conflicting reports about the number of suspects. A man wrote heavy, "My friend was approached by the people in the car. One was arrested, other two on the run. They asked to use his phone, 3 African Americans, early 20s, dreadlocks. We are not printing his name either for his own protection, but we have it." He added, "He's at the station now. It looked like they ditched the car. He used the phone and they have the fingerprints. He said it looked like they were ditching clothes." To be clear, authorities have not officially released any suspect information, including race, age, or gender. These are preliminary accounts from eyewitnesses and other local residents, and sometimes preliminary reports can be wrong. Listen to the archive scanner audio below. The second file captures the aftermath. At 4:39 p.m., a police officer could be heard on the radio saying there's a car going westbound, approaching the parade course. A red Escape, black male. I couldn't stop him. He's going westbound, blowing his horn. So another police officer said a maroon Ford Escape just blew by me, White Rock, and Hartwell heading towards the parade route. About a minute later, an officer called for help and said, "Sounds like a car sped through westbound Maine," and said people had been ran over with multiple casualties, calling for multiple ambulances to respond. A frantic officer then got on the radio and said, "We have about 10 to 15 people down in the street. We need all available units to the downtown." He then got back onto the radio and yelled, "I've got about 30 people down." The officer then corrected himself, saying there were 40 casualties down Main Street. Another officer said a woman was not conscious and not breathing. Casualty referred to both injuries and deceased victims. "Alert all the hospitals," an officer yelled. Police were still searching for the vehicle and suspect as of 4:47 p.m., according to an officer's radio transmission. He said they were looking for a red Ford Escape SUV with heavy front-end damage, heading southbound away from the parade. Another officer said he had fired shots at the SUV when it was driving through the parade area. As noted, they later found the vehicle. Number 5, a man described how the SUV came a foot from his son, saying they have a whole block of Main Street that is casualties. Above is the Facebook Live video of the parade from the city's Facebook page, which is probably not there anymore, part of the show. So one man's son was almost struck by the truck, and he gave Heavy this extremely graphic and disturbing account. "We just heard screaming up the parade route and looked over, and the red Jeep or SUV came barreling through." Michael Hurst, a woodworker from Waukesha, whose son was almost hit by the truck, told Heavy in a phone interview, "I pulled my son away. He probably got missed by about a foot. There was a little kid next to us that got hit. I did see dead bodies. The amount of people who are going to be dead from this, it might even be worse than that Las Vegas shooting. They have a whole block of Main Street that is casualties. We did hear that there were active shooters. We don't know where that came from or if that's true. The police pulled me into a building and said to stay in there, get in there. There's active shooters. One officer told us they did stop the active shooters. My son was out in that street grabbing candy." He added, "At that moment, I thought just to grab my son and family and get them on the curb. It was 100% intentional." He believes the truck drove through the parade for about a mile. "I saw a young boy get hit. He was still alive. He was in a lot of pain. I am pretty sure he was going to have broken legs. I did see another guy who was laying in the street. I guarantee he was dead. There were about 20 ambulances coming and going. It looked like a war zone down there." An eyewitness at the parade route, Beth Genau Mandel, told Heavy she saw the suspect's face as the SUV drove past. "Couple dead right around us," she said. "We all were screaming and running into a building. Store owner let us in, went out to get a lay of the land. Incredible first responders doing CPR on at least 10 people around us. Ambulances came quick. We locked down an hour or so. Most harrowing thing we have ever witnessed. Saw driver's face, focused, intent." So you guys, let me know what you think about this news story. This is an update to another video I did on the Waukesha Christmas Parade 2021 when that red SUV drove through the middle of the parade, injuring and killing multiple people. Make sure to leave your comments below, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.